Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 644. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy. Mike?
You're muted.
Am I still muted?
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go. We hear you now.
Corey
Yeah.
Feinsod
That's weird.
Ahoy!
and Tony Korkanakis.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to the partially muted podcast of. Once again, we're live streaming on Twitch. It's the Gamecast, folks. We are starting at 8 o'clock usually on Tuesday nights, around 8, 8:05 sometimes. You can always join us on Twitch and YouTube the following day. Subscribe to both channels. We appreciate it. This is the Gamecast, guys. What are you guys been playing this week? Give me some good stuff. Tony, what have you been playing?
Absolutely nothing, because I showed two brand new Switch games last week, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get into these. And then we could have had breaking news, but at 9 o'clock last weekend, while we were recording, Nintendo just decided to be like, So the story DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 launches next week, so enjoy that. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to start a 60 to 80 hour RPG before I finish this 20 to 30 hour DLC for an RPG I've been looking forward to. So Octopath Traveler 2 is on hold, and I might have been able to beat Metroid Prime, but I don't want to push it. So
Got it.
nothing new for me.
Okay. Yeah, same for me. Hogwarts still, which is great. Fun game. Not playing as much as I wanted to though, so I need to get on that to get it off the list. So, all right, Corey.
Still going with Xenoblade. We put a pretty good chunk of time into it this week, actually. Got a new character.
Yeah, who?
Juniper.
Okay, Archer, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
she's cool.
And she's been with us for a while now, so I feel like I'm making my way towards the end of the chapter. So we'll see. Yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun. Been trying to find more time for it.
Are you finding the combat more enjoyable than the first
Yeah,
one?
no, it's way more like
Yeah.
2, obviously.
Yeah.
It's definitely much more going on there.
You're getting used to like the chain attacks and stuff.
Yeah, I'm still like figuring out like how can I get to 200? I need to get to 200.
How do I get that 200? Yeah. No, I feel you.
All right, Mike.
So, I'm still plugging away at my 00 agent run now of GoldenEye. I'm on train. I'm noticing the second half of the game's levels are a little harder on 00 agent just because all of those levels are like balls to the wall. There's no real like stealth involved with them. It's just shoot everyone, and the health pool is just harder. So I have to beat train, but I've stopped doing that obsessively now because I've also started playing Horizon's
DLC?
West's DLC, the Burning Shores DLC, which is pretty good. It's pretty beefy too. I'm not done with it yet. It's mostly more Horizon. Obviously, this DLC is PS5 exclusive, which is interesting. But it takes place in like the LA Hollywoodish area of the world, and there's fault lines and volcanoes and shit going through there. Dinosaur themed, very sort of. There's like an amusement park called Pangea that's dinosaur themed that you go to. It's kind of meta that way. But this is also getting review bombed because they address Aloy's sexuality in this, which is funny to me that because she always came across asexual in the other games. Like she would very stoically deny advances from both sides, but here she randomly seems to like someone and people are upset. But whatever, who cares?
I assume because it's gay or something then.
Yeah.
Yeah, she likes a girl, but whatever.
People
But,
are
yeah,
so
people are
fucking
reviewing
stupid. People are so fucking
Like-
stupid. Same thing happened with Last of Us 2. As soon as Ellie was confirmed to be gay, it's like, oh my god.
Well, I mean, it's so funny too because like when the show came out, people were like, "Oh, this is crazy!" Like they changed so like, why would you make this like so woke and everything? It's like, hey,
That's
listen,
how the source was.
character was this way before the show.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
change it.
I will say it does seem odd being how asexual she seemed before. Like again, like from everyone, it's like, oh, this is the person you chose to like. All right, whatever.
I've
But
been through shit, man. So now,
yeah, I don't know. So hopefully it ends strong. There's some different things. There's definitely new super abilities that you skills you can level up in this game, in this mode, I mean, or whatever DLC. Not a whole lot is like drastically different though. Other than that, I mean, there's a new area which is pretty nice to look at and play, but yeah, it's still mostly about the story and just fighting giant robot dinosaurs. So it's fun. We'll see if I'll get through it and then move on to Jedi Survivor on the horizon. But we'll see.
Yeah, I didn't put it on the news, but I believe they confirmed somehow that they are working on another Horizon game already. So that's no surprise.
Yeah, there was talk because one of the people there's a lot of movement within the management, and somebody mentioned that they were happy to be working on this and that they're going to be exploring new adventures with Halo.
I mean, story-wise, there better be like if we ended the main game with a little bit of a lead into something, and I don't think it's getting resolved in this DLC.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure they made plans, for a trilogy. Seems like that's Sony's MO for their, big AAA studio titles. Like, I'm surprised God of War only got 2 before they wrapped that up, and they're like, oh, we're going to Egypt now, or wherever the fuck they said they were going.
See what happens with that too, but yeah, no, I like it, so we'll see.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about. I just realized we forgot to mention the Disney layoffs in the other podcast that we had teased.
Yeah.
Because I was going to talk about the Blizzard layoffs right now, and I'm like, ooh, we forgot about the Disney ones on the movie cast. Anyways, so we don't forget about Blizzard. Let's
lead it off. Yeah. Well, we love our Blizzard news here.
Yeah. So Blizzard producer claims the studio is creating crisis maps for the series of departures that have occurred for the World of Warcraft studio. Basically, it's what they can and cannot ship due to so many employees leaving. Those are crisis maps they're building right now.
It's absolutely insane to me because, as much as as much as I hate on the entity / company that is Blizzard, the average baseline employee that is not a manager or leadership, they probably love their jobs. They probably love working on these franchises that they probably, played when they were younger, grew up and stuff like that. And they just want to make a good game and, get paid a living wage to do so. And they managed to ship an entire World of Warcraft expansion while working from home, which is, remote, which is like the big sticking point because, they're based in Irvine, California, which is one of the most expensive areas of the country that you could possibly pick to live in. So, now, what's his name? Mikey Barra, who's, the CEO of fucking Blizzard, is like, you guys got to come back into the office because culture and, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, all these people made fucking life-altering decisions, the past couple of years, which apparently you were fine with when that was the only option, but now it's not. So, and I don't blame these people for being like, well, you know what, fuck you. Like, if we could do this, fine when we have to, but, the second that it becomes like, an issue, you want to like force us back in the office. It's mind-blowing. And again, just shows that you could stick whoever you want at the top of Blizzard. It's not going to change, unfortunately.
No, mismanaged as well, and I don't foresee that getting better with the Microsoft management.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, we don't have a precedent for that. So, I mean,
we don't.
I don't even know. I mean, we don't have a precedent for change.
Oh, yes. No. I mean, I would argue negative change is change.
Okay, but I'm making the comment about changing that.
Okay.
So, yeah. No, you're right. Change negative is still change. But all right. No, I mean, we'll see. I know that. What was that? Now I completely. I had a topic I was going to go into from this, and I'm like, I don't remember where I was going.
What? I should have wrote it down.
Yeah, it was another topic of. Sony has apparently blacklisted Microsoft to get third-party games. So I saw this posted. Final Fantasy 16, something like that. Isn't that like there's like stuff coming to that they said that they're trying to make deals with Square to not release that on the Xbox.
I'm sure that happens, but we talk about like Sony co-funded that game with Square Enix. Like there is a insignificant, or there's a significant amount of dollars that Sony just gave Square Enix to develop this game. So that is a publishing deal. I wouldn't say it's nothing we haven't seen before.
I mean, they basically did it with Final Fantasy 7 also. So.
Right, 7 Remake.
True.
It's on a.
Did they part fund that? Did they part publish that game? Is that what they did?
15?
No, 7.
Yes,
remake?
absolutely.
They did. Okay.
Like Sony wants 7 to be associated with
With
like
the
this.
PlayStation.
But the thing is, like they released the Crisis Core remake on all the systems. So again, it's a game by game basis. So I'm sure Sony's like, hey, these remakes and stuff, we don't fucking care. But the low hanging fruit remasters, we don't care about. Full fledged remake, full fledged number titled, we absolutely care about. So, yeah.
AAA, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess if you're surprised by this, that's fine. But like, it's what they've been doing for 20 years now.
It just ties together with the whole thing with Microsoft's saga with Blizzard / Sony.
Yeah, but then Microsoft wants to cry about, oh, we're gonna bring games to more gamers. It's like, oh, really? What are you doing with Starfield then, bro?
What are they doing with all the games they've ever canceled by
Yeah.
buying companies?
Yeah, exactly.
They've pulled an never mind. Never mind. I'm not even gonna.
We can't get on Microsoft News. I didn't post it, but they had financials today. I'll pull it up while you guys talk.
Yeah, get together. Let's get into that in a second. Let's talk about Jedi Survivor. Physical versions will require a download to play.
Yeah, so I think a couple of weeks ago we reported that it was going to be like 150 gigs on PC or something like that. And it's like, oh, maybe hopefully they'll be better on consoles. And spoiler alert, it's not.
It's been reported that the Xbox Series S version is only 44 gigs. But I guess that means the textures are that much. I guess 4K textures are that much for the game.
I mean, 4K textures are gigantic.
Yeah. So why would then, if it's 44 gigs, what are we looking at in terms of this size nowadays? That's what I was trying to think. I think it was 50, wasn't it?
I think you can get like the premium highest level Blu-ray, I think goes up to 100 gigs.
Oh, it's 100 now? I thought it was 50. So I'm like, they could have gotten that game onto a disc.
I mean, it would have taken 2 discs. I mean, you have to think about the 4K assets, I think.
I don't think you need to worry about that. I think that can be a download. That's fine. But if you're going to...
On console, it should be. It should be an optional thing, yeah.
It should be.
Yeah, so I think
like, hey, I don't have a 4K TV. I don't want these, but if you do,
I mean, it's going to be based on like how much data is on the disc. I mean, if it's isn't it Call of Duty had like the 9 megs on a disc when they shipped to you and then you had to download the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like if they do something like that, that's a problem. It goes into the whole ownership in digital. Like if the servers get shut off on this game, does the game get shut off? You know what I mean? Like that's the question you have. If it requires a download.
Yeah, well, I mean that's this is the thing we talked about it before, but it's seemingly getting worse this generation than better. In that what is this disc other than a glorified launcher? Like it's like cool. You start this launcher to download a fucking 100 gigabytes of data to install my
physical copy of Fortnite, which does not really
right.
exist.
Exactly. It's stupid. I hated it when look, it was notorious early on with the Switch because with cartridges, higher capacity cartridges are more expensive to produce. So a lot of these companies, which will be like, okay, there's part of the game on the cartridge and then part of the game is download, which I guess whatever. But if you're doing a fresh install like 30 years from now, I don't know, whatever. And the servers aren't up and the data's not available, your cartridge is useless or
you didn't have the capacity.
Right. Exactly. So it's really just a shame to see it on the consoles, and even 1 terabyte. I said at the beginning of the generation, 1 terabyte goes very quickly.
And it's not cheap.
It is not cheap.
Like for a PC, sure, you get that. Like you're paying nothing for this storage now, but for a terabyte, expandable drive on Xbox, like $300.
I think it's $230 to be honest with you, but yes,
it's
not cheap.
I don't understand why Microsoft did that. Like they're like, hey, we're gonna do what the Vita did. Like
it was a
proprietary
really
expansion. Yeah.
Only one company makes it, Seagate only, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it's a shame because other developers can do this. I mean, Cyberpunk was all on 1 disc.
Yeah.
So it's really just, are the developers willing to make, some of the sacrifices, in terms of compression, technology and whatnot to.
And then you get day 1 updates that you won't be able to even launch the game until the update
absolutely.
happens,
Yeah.
so.
Getting more and more like PCs every day.
Yeah. All right, so Tony, give us that Microsoft numbers news.
Let's see. So I mean, it's not that big in multiple ways. There's a pun there. So Xbox fiscal year 23, quarter 3 results. Total gaming is down 4% to $3.6 billion. Content and services are up 3%. They attribute that to Game Pass growth. But hardware is down 30%. Yeah. So that is alarming. That is alarming for a system that's only 2.5 years old. Yes.
Now a system that also is more available now too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more available and it went down.
All their Game Pass stuff you can get it on PC, so there's no incentive to have the system.
Yeah, I mean you can play it cloud based too, so you can stream.
Yeah, and the thing is the
in theory.
Yes.
Right, and so this is year over year, and so the alarming thing that some of the forum analysts have been saying is that this time last year is when the production of like the Series X and PS5 started coming available, after the pandemic, supply chain issues and stuff like that. And last year, quarter 3, it was up, I think 20% or something like that. So to go from the up 20% to down 30%, I mean, that's bad. That is so bad.
That's a worse swing when you put it that way, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a worse number swing right there.
Was that 50% swing that means?
Yeah. It's...
you don't want that.
Do not want that. That is far from good. And, the thing is, like, as much as...
Be right back, sorry.
Yeah. As much as I appreciate, like, the Series S model being, like, a lower tier thing, I think maybe the gap was a bit too much in terms of, like, perception.
You hear all these rumors that it's holding everything up for a lot of releases. That it's very hard to get stuff to work on it.
Significantly different hardware that's in there too. It's not like this is just a stripped down. You don't get all the bells and whistles type thing, but you still get the same hardware, so all the games are the same. This is a different hardware in there, so it's weird. It was definitely a weird choice to make back.
It was enough to make me, even though it would have saved a lot of money. I went with the X because I was just too worried that future-proofing. Like, I don't see the S like being relevant in the second half of this generation, really.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, the X isn't really either at this point. Like,
I mean, it'll work.
Taking advantage of it.
Yeah, but I mean, as we'd see, like even their first big first party title, Redfall, is releasing in next week. And I mean that's not even doing 60 FPS on the X. So like,
that's
what are we doing? What are we doing here? Just not
eventually, but yeah, I don't know. They're all fucked up right now. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I'm really interested in the when we get to the June era for the presentation, the new E3 or whatever we want to call it, because
they need to blow us away with Starfield stuff.
But the thing is, like, even if it does, like, I mean, they need to show more than that, right? Because at this point, I think they've been touting Starfield for years and years. What's on the horizon, right? What's after Starfield?
I mean, if you can't
Starfield 2
give us something about Fable. What the fuck are you doing?
Jim.
What are you doing?
Perfect Dark. No.
I mean,
that was rebooted in development apparently. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know nothing is ever going to happen. I don't know.
Just give us Fable. Come on, this is stupid.
Oh, I don't even think Fable's going to be important,
right? Because
it's not going to be the thing. Oh, Fable's the thing that's going to save them. No, come on.
Because the thing is, like, I know, like, Jim, I think prediction or whatever that this year Microsoft would release 3 AAA games this year and stuff like that, and that's fine and all, but like all these are leftovers from games that should have been launched last year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if those are launching this year, then what is on the horizon for next year? We haven't seen any gameplay footage out of like the titles we known about, being Fable, being Perfect Dark, Everwild just completely disappeared. To my knowledge, Rare is just, working on that, and Sea of Thieves, which is doing fine, and that's great, but it's not bringing in new people to the ecosystem. It's not bringing in, it's not selling consoles.
Yeah, Everwild is another big. It
You
should
know.
be a game that they should have news for very soon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's another game that's been in development for a long time. So
343 just is getting gutted. I forget if anyone put on the news that the one guy that we reported I think went to Riot or something like that.
Well, Frank O'Connor's finally gone from there too.
Yeah, so I mean, it just I don't know, man. It's alarming, It's just really alarming. And we could point to something like Hi-Fi Rush, which is a cool surprise out of nowhere kind of stealth drop thing.
which by the way I didn't put on here. Disappointed in sales.
Well, so
Well,
It doesn't make any sense that
so the thing about that was it was Jeff Grubb, our infamous one way or another insider, so that he had heard that it did not make the financial numbers or whatever it needed to. It got so much press, like in hubbub on the internet, that what's his name, Aaron Greenberg, which I think is the head of PR for Microsoft Gaming, had to come out and tweet that oh no, it's doing great, it exceeded all our measurements and key performance indicators or whatever like that, and we're happy for Bethesda and Tango Works or whatever they're called,
all right, good.
stuff like that. But I mean, it's worded in such a way that with me in particular, at least, the job of PR is to spin numbers, the best numbers you can in the best possible light, right? We've always talked about that. And especially with Microsoft, I'm always hesitant to be what does that really mean? What does that mean? You're not really selling, I mean, you are selling the game, but you're selling Game Pass things. So is it getting those new $1 subs to download the game? Is that a key performance indicator? I don't know. So
you would think that something like that is just mostly Game Pass. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would honestly who's buying that by itself?
I mean,
all?
I'm sure there's a non-zero number, but it's the thing and we could probably have a whole topic cast on this sometime soon. But to me, the whole thing about Game Pass working is that you have the big first-party titles that are mega successful, which should have been something like Halo, should have been something like Gears of War, should have been something like Forza, that prop the service up, and then in between that you have your secondary and tertiary titles, and that's where something like Hi-Fi Rush slots in. That's where the stuff what's that game you played, Mike, the talking game?
Pentiment?
Yeah, Pentiment. That's where those games fit in, where it's hey, it's exclusive, secondary, tertiary.
Wolong.
Yeah, Wolong, stuff like that. That's great, but when you don't have those AAA, beacons to latch onto, everything else is kind of it's a shrug,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. So, all right. Let's move on to some great news here. Great news. Good news.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
good
great
news.
But Sega of America is the latest video game company. This is tweeted by Jason Schreier, and quoting him. Sega of America is the latest video game company to unionize following Activision Blizzard and ZeniMax. So let's see. There's a supermajority of workers at Sega have announced they've formed a union called the Allied Employees Guild.
Improving Sega.
Sega. Yeah, Allies Improving Guild. I had to read that again. Allied Employees Guild Improving Sega.
So the acronym there is
Yes.
IGUS. So
IGUS. With Communications Workers of America.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. So yeah, they're the third. Wait, no, that's the second union. No, I'm sorry, my brain is
third.
fried right now. Third. Yes,
You
ZeniMax.
just mentioned the other
ZeniMax. I'm sorry, brain's fried. Third unionized in the industry, and yeah, I think that's a great direction. And unions they're not for every single thing in this world. And you can love or hate certain ones, but there's certain times where you can see things happening and it needs to be there. You know what I'm saying? There has to be one there. It just makes the most sense. And I think the video game industry is the perfect example of this from years. I mean, just watching it fold and unfold, and you know what I mean? It's just literally what we see in this industry with turnover from employees. Microsoft being probably the heaviest culprit of turnover, but just to give people more rights and stuff and equal pay salaries and stuff, I think it makes the most sense in the gaming industry. We talked about this years ago, why this hadn't happened yet. So,
and I mean, it's good. It is great news. I don't want to. I'll give credit to both the workers that risk their jobs for that, but also Sega for being hey, we can recognize
Exactly.
that.
It's, definitely could have just been like, all right, well, get lost.
We're just gonna shut down the studio. You know, like you. I don't know if you guys remember the Office episode where the warehouse workers wanted to unionize, and Jen just came down and was like,
That's right.
"You guys want to know what happened when this branch tried to unionize? They shut it down. Everybody lost their job. So if you want that, keep going." It's like, and that's how a lot of these companies feel, unfortunately. But I did think it was interesting. So they cited, I'm looking at the tweet. The current unit includes 144 workers based on the companies in, once again, Irvine, California, including members of the brand marketing, games as a service, localization, marketing team, PD ops, product development, and quality assurance teams, which is good. Because, again, QA is like one of the, QA is usually the entry-level job for the game industry because it's like, hey, I like to play video games and I can play a game for 8 hours and not get, blinded or hand cramps or something like that. And usually they're one of the teams that get completely abused by actually perfect to speak about is, Blizzard and stuff like that. They're notorious for not treating their QA teams very well and stuff like that. So, good. Sega says, Sonic says workers' rights. And it is actually interesting. I don't know if you guys ever saw this meme. I was looking at it because it's one of the replies, but it's just like a comic Sonic, laying down. And, he goes, I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less. And I'm not kidding. And it's like, yeah, you know what?
There you go.
Yeah. It has come true. It's prophesized.
Yeah. So, that's good news. So, all right. What else do we have? I think that's it on the news. So, that's going to, I guess, wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Once again, we're live on Twitch Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. Please join us live. Leave us some questions on there, comments. You can watch our videos on YouTube, too. We're all on there way back until probably when we first started. I think we started 250 episodes or 300 episodes in already. We had the backlog of the audio. A little tougher to find because I found that Apple doesn't like the listings past 500. So you'd almost have to go to our unknown channel. We don't plug in here too much, but Podbean. Podbean hosts our podcast. And if you go to Podbean and find our podcast at, is it AYCG on that one? I don't want to give the link, but...
AYCG or All You Can Geek.
Yeah. We're on Podbean. You can actually get all the old episodes if you want to go way back in time.
See what we were talking about 12 years ago.
Yeah, if you want to go way back. I've done that on a few podcasts before. It's interesting to hear about the growth. And if you go back to our episode 1 or 0, Corey and I called it at one point, it's pretty rough. I think, for those that are, freshly joining us, because we do have a lot of new listeners, and for freshly joining us, we the first few of them were done in my basement apartment bedroom with Mike and Corey.
That's what you guys we're sitting at a table. You had that device to record, right?
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
So doing it live back in the day.
We did it, and then we had to mix it and stuff. So a little different than what we're doing now, which is a lot better and a lot easier. So
it's still live.
It's still live.
But in person.
But now you get live streams, so
it's fun to go back and look at some of those, and there's some good moments. We talk about it on our centennial episodes, but Agent Brader's Nose, that episode is just...
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think there's about 20 minutes of laughter when we're talking about Adrian Birdie's Nose. I don't know why, but it was a while.
And for a while, we covered the first couple of years of Walking Dead TV show. I mean, that was something we
You wrote a review or something, Tony, didn't you? Or is that?
I did an article that
the Andrea thing?
Andrea one. I remember that got a lot of
Walking Dumb.
Yeah, The Walking Dumb. I can write clever things every now and then. Oh my god. Yeah. I hated that character so much, which is such a departure.
They changed her so much.
Yeah. It's like, oh, she's such a badass in the comics. Let's make her suck in the show. It's like, okay.
Yeah. No, I know. You hated that. And so there's some great episodes on there on Podbean, so you can go back and check those out. And unfortunately, iTunes, like I said, doesn't carry past 500 total.
I didn't know that. That's weird.
I didn't know that until the other... Excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't know that until the other day, until I scrolled, and I'm like, oh, we're way, way ahead of this. Where'd all these old episodes go? But they're still on the Podbean, so you're still good.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right. That's going to wrap up this episode, though, folks. So thanks for tuning in. Next week, coming at you with more episodes. We got MovieCast, we got a Gamecast. Maybe throw a topic in there. I think we're due for one soon. So check for that next week. We'll see you guys soon. We're out tonight.